Hey guys, George here from MCS Dog Training, Cover 6 Canines. Getting a lot of attention in the media that the VA just said that they're going to supply service dogs to veterans, and that's a good thing. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about, the reality of that. So, like anything, the resources are not infinite. They're very finite. So I know there's a lot of guys and girls out there that are getting their hopes up that they're going to be able to get a service dog through the VA. So far, we don't know what that's going to look like and how that's going to happen. But here's the reality of it. There's a lot of people out there, men and women, service members, that could benefit from having a dog, not just a psychiatric service dog for PTSD like my boy here, Odin, is, but also for mobility issues, especially in our older aging veterans and some of us that are not that aging yet and are already having issues. So like anything else, for any kind of a medical device or any kind of a therapy, the VA is going to look at you and they're going to say, whether or not you qualify for this, on a scale, whatever their scale is. So if today they started taking phone calls, about, people think that they could benefit from a service dog, until the time that they actually end up getting a service dog, if they ever get picked, is going to be a really long time. And that's the reason why we have Cover 6 Canines. So to give the idea, and again, I'm just talking offhand. I'm not sure because I haven't talked to anybody from the VA about it. But typically the way it works for anybody getting a service dog is the first thing that you need is a note from your doctor, whether it's your psychiatrist, therapist, or your regular doctor, saying that you could benefit from a service dog. And I always say through Cover 6 Canines, we have our veterans and first responders get a letter saying that they could benefit, not that they require. The reason why is a lot of times doctors, any clinicians, they kind of hesitate to write requires on anything. So it's easier to get them to write a dog that, you could benefit from having a dog. So the reason why we started Cover 6 Canines was that it takes forever and a day through most programs, whether they're insurance agencies, government programs or not, to get a service dog. Well, here's the problem. We're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide. And we know as of last count, I think it was yesterday, the day before, so far just this year, we've lost 17 police officers to suicide. And I don't know the numbers for other first responders, EMS, dispatchers and things like that. So when you need a dog, you need a dog right now, and we try to streamline that process. So the way that we do that is we have an intake. You can go to cover6canines.com and you put all your information in there. We're going to ask you, if you can get a letter from your doctor saying that you could benefit from a service dog. We're going to ask you, what your service was. We're not going to ask you about your disability, only if you think that you would need a psychiatric service dog or a mobility service dog, or a combination. Odin's a combination. A lot of our dogs are. All right. And then we get back in touch with you, and then we start talking about the reality of getting a service dog. Whenever you talk about getting a pet or an animal, we all have a tendency to get excited, just like we did, when we were little kids. We're going to get this new animal. And the first thing I do is I try to talk to everybody, whether it's a private client of mine through MCS Dog Training, or it's a veteran or first responder through Cover 6 Canines. The first thing I try to do is I try to talk them out of getting a service dog. Okay. And that sounds kind of weird, but here's the reason: is people don't understand the the emotion, the want of it, to the reality of it. The reality is, especially for us, is we don't hand anybody a trained service dog. My personal my personal philosophy with that, especially when it comes to treating PTS and PTSD, is that the healing comes from working with your own dog and giving the dog more grace than you're showing, and working with your dog every day and overcoming those hurdles. And it doesn't matter what you feel like in the morning. Whether you want to get out of bed, the dog's got a schedule and you adhere to the schedule. You're no longer, you're not a pet owner, you're a dog handler. So I just kind of tell you, just giving an example of what that looks like for me and Odin. So when I get up in the morning, my alarm clock goes off, playing Army Reveille, go Army. So when my alarm clock goes off in the morning, he pops his big head out from underneath the covers. I tell him I love him. Tell him he's a good boy and tell him I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And that's exactly, I talk to him just like he's a person. So when I come back, I give him a little bit more love. I give him the Fuß command, which is heel in German, and he comes down the steps. Let him go out back, let him go do his little potty thing. I go in and I get his food and water all squared away. I put it down in my room, and I should say my office, aka the sanctuary. I put it down. He comes in and, he eats his food. Then I come in, do my morning prayer and rituals, things like that, my devotions. And while I'm doing that, he's actually laying up on my lap, giving me deep pressure therapy. I'm petting him. I'm calming myself. I'm bringing myself to a nice, calm mindfulness state of mind. And then, later, at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I get up and I kind of start my day, my professional day, working on Cover 6 Canine stuff and MCS dog training stuff, whatever I have to do. From the minute that I get Odin up out of bed in the morning, get all of his cares taken care of, and then I go and start doing work, he goes and he typically lays by the front door, and he is laying by the front door because he does not want me to leave the house without him. If I do leave the house without him, he gets pretty sore over it, okay? And he gets up, last October, Lisa sent me to San Diego to go see Elizabeth, who's stationed out there, and I was gone for 4 days. The dog just sulked and barely ate, all right? The service dog is just that. He is a service dog. He is a working dog. Once you get that dog turned on, you get that dog working, he does not want to sit at home. And the reason why I bring these things up is we all know people who have, gone out of their way to get the rascals or the little scooter cars, whatever, but then they realize that, that thing's kind of pain in the ass to take places, and you got to put this thing on the back of your vehicle, and you got to make sure it's plugged in all the time. And then we see all the times that, they're up for sale or, they're just not being used. American Legion and VFW basements are full of them. All right. So the dog isn't something you can just put away. You've got to use it every day. And that's, once the dog is already certified. So we recommend, that we recommend you get a puppy or at least a dog underneath 2 years of age to, start training as your service dog. So what we require out of our handlers is we require them to come to training once a week. It's usually an hour, 90 minutes is the class. We have our beginners and then we have our advanced classes, and they're kind of split up. Some people come to both, and that's no problem. They want more exposure for their dog. So they come to that hour and 90 minutes a week, and again, it's a group class. We work on the public access portion, which the public access is just giving your dog like awesome obedience and getting your dog to ignore things that most dogs will not ignore, like other dogs laying 2 feet from them, people dropping food on the ground and them ignoring it, doors open, your dog not running out, being under control when they're walking up to a building, when they're leaving the building, not pulling on the leash, things like that, the public access stuff. And then we also work on tasking. So for tasking, we want the dog to be able to do 2 specific tasks that mitigate your responsibility. So we try to get the people to work on anywhere, I'd say between maybe 3 to 6, somewheres, sometimes more than that. But you're going to have your bread and butters that you need at least 2 to certify when it comes to your tasking. So besides going to your hour and a half of training a week, we ask you to work with your dog 15 minutes twice a day. And some people are thinking to themselves, well, that's really not a lot. Well, actually, it's a whole lot if you understand dogs. So if you take your average service dog or actually, working dog, and you focus on training, hardcore focused on training and getting them to work on their public access and their tasking 15, 20 minutes a day, or 15, 20 minutes twice a day. Imagine if you started working on something today, just putting 30 minutes a day to it, actually turning everything else off and concentrating on what you were doing 30 minutes a day. Think of where you would be with whatever you were practicing in a year, or, a year to 18 months from now. Well, that's what it is with these guys. And when we say that you're going out there and, you're spending that 15 to 20 minutes twice a day working with a dog, I'm not talking about taking the dog out, for exposure, taking the dog to Walmart, taking the dog to a restaurant. I'm talking hardcore. You're giving the dog commands. You're putting the dog in a downstay. You're bringing other dogs around. You're letting the cat go by. You're dropping, a stainless steel bowl behind the dog. So the dog, one of the things on a test is you drop something, the dog can't get up and go take off, right? Dog's got to hold their position. You're practicing that stuff, and you're practicing your task, whether it's a dog pulling you out of the chair, whether it's teaching your dog to go find your significant other when you're having a panic attack in the middle of Walmart, whether it is the dog picking up a medication bottle off the ground and giving it back to you, finding your cell phone, whatever the case may be. There's about 150 some odd different tasks that, you can teach. So you're doing that, and you're never, ever, ever done training your dog. It's not a plateau where you get this certification and then you're done with it. Every day you got to work with your dog, and you got to keep those skills honed. So it's a huge time investment. Like I said, I'm not sure how the VA is going to do it. I don't know, what avenues they're going to use to, provide these dogs to the people that qualify for them. I hope they're not going to give anybody certified, certified dogs, especially for the PTSD people, because a large part of my healing and the large part of what I see comes from giving these people a very healthy addiction and something to concentrate on, working with this dog and getting their dogs to do things that they never thought were possible and they never thought was possible as a team. When people come to training, we deal with people, they're still, some people times they're in crisis. We deal with panic attacks. We deal with flashbacks. Sometimes they just got to hand their dog off to somebody else for a couple of minutes, and that's why we're always looking for volunteer handlers. It's a huge process, and it is about making the person whole again using the dog. Remind the person to breathe and calm down, being mindful. The dog doesn't care what just happened. Dog don't care what's going to happen. Dog only cares what's going on right now, and your dog absolutely feeds off of you. So Lisa and I just went away for an awesome retreat. If anybody gets a chance, it's the Bridge Retreat for first responders. A little plug for those guys. Lisa and I just got back. We went 7-hour drive out to Ohio, 7-hour drive back. We're in a hotel all weekend. We had Odin with us. So when you're driving, you got to think when you're going. So I got to make sure I bring all of his food. I got to make sure I bring all his gear, which is his vest, his leads, and things like that, his toy, his reward and stuff that, I play with him. And so when you go to the bathroom, you got to stop and let the dog go out and go to the bathroom. You got to make sure the dog's got food and water. When the entire day at the conference, we started about 8:30 in the morning, didn't get done till about 10, 11 o'clock at night. That entire time, Odin was with me. He's in the big conference room. When we get a break for us to go get, a drink or, go to the bathroom between presenters, I've got to take him out first. It's always a dog first. When you're going to go somewhere, you want to go away for the weekend. Well, are you going to bring the dog? If you're staying at a hotel, no big deal, because you can allow the service dog. But what if you're going to stay at somebody's house for the weekend and they have their own pets and their dog doesn't like other dogs, or they have cats and their cat doesn't like dogs, or they have a kid and the kid's allergic to dogs? Now you have to find somebody to watch your service dog and take care of them and stick with your routine. That's a big deal. The routine that I explained to you early on about, like I said, getting up in the morning with Odin, he expects that routine. He expects to get food in his dish and his water, that's at 7:15 every morning. It doesn't matter what else is going on. 7:15 every morning. He expects to be fed at 5:30 every evening, and I would say during the an average day, I probably give him somewhere between 50 to 75 commands. Everything: heel, sit, down, stay, in, out. All, and that's not even his tasking commands. So he's used to be getting this workout every day, and if he doesn't get that workout every day, you can tell. So nobody's going to work your dog the way you work your dog. Also, if you're a vet and a first responder and you're living alone, if you have to go to the hospital for something, yeah, the dog can go to the hospital with you, but if you're going to have a surgery or an operation, or you're going to be unconscious, or you're going to be hemmed up for a while and you can't walk your dog, do you have the support of another family member to help you work your dog? Again, it's not a pet. It's it's a medical device, and that dog still needs to be worked. That dog is a commitment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to ongoing training and maintenance. All right. So those are the things I want people, to think about before they just go out and go, hey, the VA is going to be offering service dogs. Again, I don't know how that's going to work. But before you go putting your name on a list and before you go trying, think long and hard whether you want a service dog. And again, Odin has totally changed my life. He's a blessing from God, changed my life 100%. Because of him, I created, MCS dog training. We started Cover 6 Canines. But I put a lot of work into him, and a lot of days I didn't want to. So think about how that's going to fit in your life. Are you still working? That's another good one right there. So if you're still working a job, luckily enough, I'm blessed that, I'm self-employed. But if you do have, still have a regular job, are you going to be okay with, or are you going to be able to manage taking that dog to work with you every day? And is your dog going to lay at your desk for 8 hours a day while you're working on the computer? Or if you have any, are you going to be supported by your employer? So yeah, it's against the law for them not to support you and not to make accommodations, but still they can make their life miserable. So looking at your life as it is, out of 100%, what percentage are you going to be able to actually use your dog? So if you work 8 hours a day, you have an hour commute and an hour commute back, so there's 10 hours out of your day, and then you got your family, all your other stuff you need to do. Is it going to be fair to the dog? Are you just getting a service dog because you can get a service dog, or are you getting a dog because you want to work that service dog? So those are the things you got to, I want you to take into account before you try to get a service dog through the VA, or you apply through, Cover 6 Canines or any of the other organizations out there. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that have service dogs that are going to be watching this, and I would really like it if phone call coming in here. Let me get rid of that real quick. I want you guys to comment on this and let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if I'm out of line. Let me know if I'm spot on. But I just want people to know that what the realities are of looking to get a service dog, train a service dog, and then living with a service dog every day. So appreciate your guys' time, and make sure you go out there and you walk your dog today.